Hey, it's Roy. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Was that my sound check?
Yeah.
You got it. Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you fine. Thank you for joining us. We will be getting started in just a few minutes at the top of the hour. Again, thanks. Again, thank you for joining. We will be getting started in about 2 minutes. Okay. My name is Roy Applebaum. I'm one of the director of sales here at StorageCraft, and welcome to our February 2018 partner broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll be your moderator today, and we've got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about, and then we'll have an opportunity for questions and answers, and hopefully you will learn a lot about what we've been doing, what we're up to, and what new resources are available to you. So today we're going to be hearing from Martin Merrill, who's a sales engineer. He's going to talk about cloud services and give you a demo with that. And Nifi Parenti, who along with John, is going to talk to you about some of the new features in our support community. And then Mark Henderson is going to come on and kind of help you with some of our new how-to videos, which we think you'll find incredibly useful. And then finally, we'll wrap it up and give you a chance to ask questions on anything you've heard or anything you'd like to hear about in other broadcasts and so forth. So with no further ado, let's move to the next slide and get started. Martin, you want to jump in?
Oh, I'm sorry. I do. No, that's all good. Thanks, Roy. I'll go ahead and take over here. I got to make a quick change to my slide deck now because we're not going to be talking about StorageCraft Cloud Services. So give me just 1 second here while I finish there we are. Okay. So just to introduce myself, my name is Martin Merrill. I am a sales engineer. I've been with StorageCraft now for, gosh, 5.5 years. It's been a great experience for me. And we're going to be talking about cloud services. Now, StorageCraft has actually been dealing with cloud services for several years now. In fact, way back in 2012 was the very first iteration of StorageCraft Cloud Services. And to just briefly, introduce it for those of you who might still be relatively new to StorageCraft in general, the cloud services was actually, it was envisioned to be a great way to add some great recovery options in scenarios where you've actually ran into a complete disaster. One of those situations where it seems all is lost. We wanted to make sure that wasn't really the case, and that you'd be able to continue your business if needed, by way of the different options that we have in the cloud. Now, we're going to start my demo really by kind of going an overview of the cloud. There's about 3 or 4 slides I'll be going through, and then we'll give you a peek at what the cloud services actually looks like, a kind of a general idea of how it sets up, so that when it's all said and done, you'll be able to walk away saying, you know what, that actually sounds like a very interesting, if not just interesting, maybe, hopefully a very important part of what you would hope to implement amongst your clients and maybe even yourself when it comes to protecting your backup or protecting your critical data and your critical systems. But as we were envisioning the cloud services, we wanted to, our objective there is that we wanted to create a massively scalable, highly available disaster recovery cloud solution. And if you take a look at that, the uptime that we're hoping to hit, that's 5 nines. That is a gold standard when it comes to industry, uptime in the IT industry, right? And my personal opinion is that all things done correctly, we can actually achieve that. It's actually a pretty fantastic solution that we have to offer. But how do we do that? What is it that we're actually looking at doing? So those talking points here kind of help us understand that. First off, we want to protect your physical and virtual servers and workstations. We want to also be able to support not just your Windows machines, but we want to work in a Linux environment as well. We want to back up those important critical Linux machines as well. For those of you who may have known, Shadow Protect in a previous life or still new to our current SPX offering, Linux is now supported. We can back up Linux machines, which is something that, for many, many years we were unable to do. We've now been protecting Linux devices for several years. In addition to that, we want to be able to recover your systems and your data in seconds, not just minutes or hours, or in most cases, unfortunately, those who are not participating in the cloud service, we're probably talking about days, right? Yeah, we want to do this in seconds so that your recovery is transparent to your users. There's no reason in today's world, especially with the technology that StorageCraft has, to have your systems down for long periods of time. We can help to fix that. If you want to know more about the specifics, you can reach out to your local sales representative and your account manager. But with the cloud, we've been able to extend not just the great recovery capabilities that we offer at your locale, or that are local to you and your backups there. But the things that we can do with your backup images as they're held in the StorageCraft cloud are actually they're actually pretty great. I think you're going to be able to see that when I show this to you in just a little bit. We also want to make sure that your offsite data is safe. We want to make sure that it's not going to be compromised. So the cloud services or the cloud data center that we use, I think we get into a little bit more detail on one of these further slides. I mean, it's a tier 3 data center. We are going to make sure that all of the appropriate IT security measurements or measures are taken to keep that backup data safe and sound. To make sure that prying eyes are not going to be able to, to see stuff they shouldn't see, compromise that data in any particular way. So let me see, here we are. Yeah, we have a conversation about the data center. We offer all the data centers that host the StorageCraft cloud services are tier 3 and tier 3 plus data centers. Take a look at the different compliance options that we have here. We support SOC, HIPAA, PCI, etc. As far as the hardware that we use, everything in the cloud is redundant. We've got racks and racks of systems, and not any one of those racks is a single copy of all of our data. We've got it spread out in a number of different areas. Not to mention, we've got enterprise-grade firewalls. So again, we're going to lock that data down, and not just anybody's going to be able to have access to it. Again, we have redundant, extensible, and massively scalable storage. We can actually grow this cloud. We can grow our storage as needed based on the need. All right, we can expand on how many processes are needed in a particular scenario. We can control our storage, virtualization, and ingestion as we need it, so that we can accommodate higher traffic time periods. If we need to launch virtual machines, we've got the capacity that can expand and grow as needed to handle those virtual machines. And then, of course, the storage itself, we can add any additional storage that we need pretty much on the fly. It's a fantastic solution. You'll also notice here that we are currently utilizing the Ceph fully distributed storage system. All right, and this is kind of I guess you would say, the software engine that makes all of this storage work, and it's a fantastic solution that we've been able to utilize. And then also take note that all of our devices, and what we're talking about here, these would be the backup images representing your devices at home, they can all be spread across these storage servers instead of tied to a single server. So again, we're talking about redundancy. If any one single device were to fail, you're not going to lose data. There would have to be some absolutely tragic disaster to happen that takes down the entire data center in order for a single piece of data to be lost, quite honestly. It's a fantastic solution for you. So let's talk about what you're getting in the cloud, all right? Within the StorageCraft cloud, we offer 3 different service levels. And as you can see there, we've got a Cloud Basic option, a Cloud Plus, and a Cloud Premium. If you look a little bit further, you can see that we actually are able to mirror that backup data from one data center to another. So here's what we're actually talking about here. The service levels are actually identifying, or they're defining what options you have available to you when we're considering the backup data that you're keeping in the cloud. Our Cloud Basic option really is nothing more than archival of your backup data. It's the ability to take your data off-site, keep it safe, so that if anything happens to you locally, your backup data is still available to you and can be easily accessible. We have options for you to be able to either download your entire backup set for a machine, if that's something that you need to do, or you can request a drive from us and we will simply send the data that you need back to you. So that's our Cloud Basic service, okay? Cloud Plus gives you that Cloud Basic option, but adds to that some things that make things a little more convenient for you. You can actually log into your cloud services portal, and in scenarios where you may not need to request your entire data set back. Instead, you might just need to recover a single file or a folder during some downtime or something along that line. Well, we give you that option with our Cloud Plus. Just log into your cloud services portal. You can now, at a point in time in your backup chain that's represented there in the cloud, find the data, find the file or series of folders that you need, and you can download them and have them again. So that's what our Cloud Plus offers. It's a nice little convenient addition to the cloud services that you can get outside of Cloud Basic. Now, if you really want to wow your friends, though, and if you really want to be able to take advantage of 99.999 uptime of your systems, you're probably going to be looking at your Cloud Premium, okay? This is the big kahuna of the StorageCraft cloud. If you take a look at that, you're getting everything in Cloud Plus, but you're also getting instant virtualization of your systems and your data. Now let's talk about that for just a minute. Why would that be beneficial to you? You know, if you have a system failure, and you know, if you're a StorageCraft user, you probably already understand and know the benefits of virtual boot, right? With virtual boot at home, you have the ability in a scenario where you've had a single server fail. You can't get it booted for the life of you, but this is a critical system, and you honestly can't afford that downtime. You can launch a virtual boot instance where we will actually bring a virtual machine launching directly from the backup images that you've created from them. And you can now work within that virtual environment locally as long as you need to as you're rebuilding or preparing the new to restore that server. Well, we can do that now in the cloud. All right. When we say that we can do virtualization in the cloud, we can literally boot directly from your backup images in the cloud, and we've got the tools that you can use, which will enable outside access from your users to those critical servers that you would need to launch in the cloud, so that you can truly experience uptime in scenarios when you've even experienced a catastrophic disaster. It's a fantastic solution, and the things that I will be demoing as I show you the cloud services portal and everything here in just another minute or so. I'll be showing you the Cloud Plus option to be able to see what that looks like to restore a single file or folder. The Cloud Premium, I will show you what it looks like to have a virtual machine hosted in the StorageCraft cloud, and I'll even show you basically how you can gain access to that server and be able to perform certain functions that you may need to do. Now, I said also, you know, I pointed out that we have this mirroring option. You know, it's great to have your backup data saved in one location, knowing that it's offsite and protected. But there's also that added security or that added peace of mind knowing that if you needed to, you could replicate that backup data and actually have it resting in 2 different data centers. So we do offer a mirroring option. In the United States, we have a data center located here in the Intermountain West, as well as another that is out in the Southeast, and you can have the ability to take advantage of either of those data centers. And then also take a look here, and this kind of goes to recovery, but that bottom bullet point, static and dynamic public IP addresses for primary and secondary data centers. Now, these would be the addresses to go to those different locations. Also, when it comes to the StorageCraft Cloud, it's easily accessible. You can do all of the management that is needed by simply opening up a web browser. There's no additional software or anything that's required. Just a good old Google Chrome, Firefox, or even Windows Explorer or Windows Edge should be able to get you right in without having to add or worry about any additional components. Not to mention, you can also set up a retention policy. Now, when I'm talking about a retention policy, I'm saying that you are allowed to choose how many recovery points you want to be able to restore from. And I'm going to throw a little something at you here that you might want to consider. A lot of times when people consider replicating their backup data to the StorageCraft cloud, or to any cloud for that matter, they're looking to archive their data. A lot of times they're not necessarily thinking about the recovery options, and so they think long term. They think, maybe I should just store everything and have a representation of all of my backup data for the last year, last 2 years, whatever, in the cloud. With the StorageCraft cloud, you might need to change that mindset a little bit, because we truly have built the cloud for recovery. And so you might want to consider, okay, it's probably really only important to have some of the most recent data in there. But the great thing is we allow you to define that for yourselves. What would be the critical points in time that you need to restore from? Is it from yesterday? Is it from 2 weeks ago? You get to go ahead and make that determination, but you've got some really great flexibility in setting up that cloud retention policy. You can set that up per machine as needed. And then to kind of finish things out here, notice that we have a bunch of great networking options for you. I mean, we do support BGP. We have support for OpenVPN as well as IPsec VPN tunnels. We allow for private public IP addresses. You can request a public IP address, something that can be added to your firewall in the StorageCraft cloud. You can also set up dynamic private IP addressing as well. Not to mention individual firewalls and networks that can all be configurable per your network locally, as well as what you want it to look like in the StorageCraft cloud. We offer port forwarding, port blocking, and we can even set up controls for DHCP, so that your IP addresses can get so that your service can get the IP addresses that you need in the cloud. And then as far as recovery, this is kind of a review of what I've already mentioned. We do offer instantaneous failover of a single machine, but get this, or an entire site and your network with a single click. And I'll show you this as well. It's that virtual machine policy, where you can actually define ahead of time which machines need to boot first, which ones second and third, and so on, so that all you have to do in the event of a disaster is just hit go, and your local environment will be completely reproduced with outside access as needed. And then also, you know, we have your StorageCraft recovery environment that is used in our BMR. The BMR drive is the bare metal restore drive. If you find yourself in a scenario where you've had to use and utilize the StorageCraft cloud, and you've had your disaster, it's time to now start rebuilding, and you've requested your backup data from us to be sent to you, that drive has its own recovery environment built into it. So that when you plug that into your machine and you're ready to do restore, you have a recovery environment that you can boot right into, and the tools to do that recovery will be right there at your fingertips. Now, as far as that BMR process, it is a multi-volume Head Start Restore support is offered from running a virtual machine. What we're talking about here is if you do launch a VM in the StorageCraft cloud and it's time to do a recovery, you can request that drive, keep that VM up and running, start the restore without having shut down that VM in the cloud yet. We'll go ahead and restore everything on that drive, and then at a certain point when everything's been used on that drive, it'll simply say, hey, you got a VM still running in the cloud, let's capture that last minute data that's in there, and it'll certainly do that. It'll go ahead and connect to the StorageCraft cloud, capture the current state of the VM that's there, and then you'll be done. You can then shut down the VM in the cloud, boot up this brand new machine at home, and you've lost little to no real data. You've experienced very, very little downtime overall is what that comes down to. Again, you can directly download files, folders, or complete shadow protect images right there from the StorageCraft cloud. And if you are going to deal with this BMR drive, know that it is a USB 3 drive. So that should speed things up just a little bit. Okay, now it's time for the live demo. So let's go ahead and show you what I've been talking about. All right, so to start with, let's go ahead and introduce you to the StorageCraft Cloud Portal. All right, now I'm actually accessing it from the StorageCraft Partner Portal, but if you're not going to be logging into the Partner Portal, and you simply go to cloud.storagecraft.com, you're going to get a view that looks pretty much just like this. So it really is kind of seamless and looks the same regardless of how you're accessing it. But you know, this is a representation of some real data that I have pushed into the StorageCraft cloud from some machines that I have at home that I've been dealing with. Now, to set all of this up, the things that you need to understand about the StorageCraft solution so that the cloud can work is, first, you got to be taking backups with Shadow Protect. All right, it creates backup images in a file format that is compatible with this whole solution. In addition to that, there's a tool called Image Manager that also needs to be installed. Let me show you Image Manager real quick. All right, those of you who've been dealing with StorageCraft for a while will know about Image Manager. All right, but essentially, Image Manager's purpose is to, just like its name implies, to manage your backup images. What it does is it provides a consolidation at the end of each day, week, and month. This gives you these recovery points that can take the place of your daily, weekly, monthly representations. But it also is the tool that we use to do that push into the StorageCraft cloud. So the way things are all set up, first off, is you go into the StorageCraft Cloud Services portal, and you will create the accounts that will have machines that will be pushed into the cloud. Once you've got the accounts, you'll come back into Image Manager, and you'll be ready to create the replication job. And you'll simply do that by right-clicking on the machine that's going to get sent into the cloud. You're going to choose the Create Job option, Replication. Your replication type is going to be StorageCraft Cloud Services, and then you will simply create a location that is based on the username and password that you created for that account. So if ABC Company is going to be utilizing StorageCraft Cloud Services, you've created an account in the cloud, you will simply use the username that you gave them and the password so that we can authenticate them as these machines to be saved with an actual verified user account in the cloud. So let's go ahead and say that I've done that already. I've got an ABC replication account already created. All the backups, the backup images do need to be encrypted and password protected. So when you're considering the StorageCraft cloud, make sure that you're creating backups with a password. All right, you'll notice that is the default when you create backups with Shadow Protect SPX. So if you're going to utilize the cloud, make sure that you've added that password. Otherwise, it is going to fail replication. It's not going to allow you to do that. Now, to finish things off under replication mode, just simply define what is going to be sent. You want to send a daily recovery point at the end of each day, or you want to send all of your incrementals. Now, if you do all the incrementals option, you are causing a little bit of overhead. So we always suggest that you send that a single consolidated file at the end of the day, and that way you'll have a representation of what the end of the day looks like in the cloud that you can actually choose to boot from or to use whenever you need it.
I got a good question here. Can you send workstation images to the cloud or just servers?
Oh, yeah, so it looks like we've got a question already come up asking if we can send workstation images or just servers. And gosh, I think we'd be a really discriminating company if we didn't include workstations, yeah? So the answer to that question is yes, you can send workstation images as well. We do have a desktop version of Shadow Protect SPX that works on desktop devices, so yes, absolutely. You've got some critical machines there that aren't servers, but you still want them in the cloud, go for it. We are not going to discriminate like that, all right? Now, finishing up your setup, you're just going to go over here to Cloud Settings, and you're going to choose your service level. Now, remember I spoke, we've got the basic Cloud Plus and Cloud Premium option, all right? If this machine is going to be booted with our virtualization capability, you're going to choose Cloud Premium. All right, and then of course you have the option, if you want, to send your backups into the cloud by requesting a drive from us that you can offload your set to, or you can simply replicate directly across the internet, you know, using your current internet connection. I would suggest if you are not going to use the backup, the backup drive option or the drive request option, you know, make sure that you got some decent bandwidth. You might be waiting a long time as you push the data into the cloud otherwise, but. Anyway, so that's really pretty much it. That's the setup. It's actually a very simple process, and when that's all said and done, you can sit back. Well, Image Manager in the cloud will actually do the rest. Image Manager will send the backup data into the cloud. It will keep updating on a daily basis, and all you got to worry about now is just making sure that you know what to do when you have that final disaster or that disaster finally happens. So here's what you need to know about the cloud itself, and I'll try to be brief because I know that we want to get to some other things here. But you'll notice once you've got backup images in the StorageCraft cloud, they are going to be shown on the account. So you see I've got a demo lab account right here, and I've got two machines currently represented, a file server, and it looks like another Windows 2012 server is there as well. Now if I click on that file server, it's going to give me the details of that machine. It gives me its name, the GUID, all that good stuff, what my boot volume is. I have recovery points that I can choose from. If I go to File Details, you know, if I'm currently seeding or anything like that, it'll give me information about that. My retention policy, notice I have the option to say how many points in time I want to be able to keep. All right, like I mentioned before, gives me some information on the machine metrics. In this case, we're talking about how much disk space is being used. I actually haven't replicated with this file server for a little bit. Let's choose one that's relatively new here, and you can see what those machine metrics look like. Essentially, it's going to be a little graph showing how much data is currently in the cloud. And it looks like I've got to plug in my machine. I didn't realize I was operating without power. There we go. All right. Very good. So as you can see, the machine metrics is going to show us how much disk space is, or how much storage space is being used in the cloud. And we even have a little area here where we can take a look at the VM screenshots and see the the status of virtual machines. We've got that set up. So at the machine level, we got a bunch of great information at your fingertips that you can go and look at any time. Now, the account level, though, this is where you're going to define, or at least kind of consider the parameters of the restore. Under my demo lab again, for example, you'll notice I've got some options here. I can see my machines, all right, and again, if I wanted to click on any one of them, I can do so here, just like I would over here. This is also where you're going to set up your networking. If you have chosen Cloud Premium for any of those devices that you've replicated into the cloud, this is where you're going to set up the information that's needed to gain access to those machines. All right, I'll get back to that here in just a little bit. If you need to request a drive, you can go ahead and do so by coming over here to the seed BMR area. This is where you could request either a seed drive for assisting in putting your backup data into the cloud, or your BMR drive, your restore drive, can be requested here as well. Retention policy can be set at the account level as well, which you can do right here, where you're essentially defining how many daily, weekly, or monthly recovery points you want to be able to restore from. And then, of course, this is where you can also set up with this tab the different alerts that you may need. You know, we want to make sure that you're aware of what's going on in the cloud, and if there's something going wrong, if we're expecting data but we don't get it, you can be alerted. So we can actually come over here and say, all right, let's go ahead and define a few alerts. And you'll notice that there's a number of different alerts that we can choose from. Okay, we go ahead and name that alert whatever we want. We can put a specific threshold, whether in time or gigabytes, based on what that particular notification is. And then we can come in here and we can add, whoops, not there. So we can actually add those email addresses those alerts should also go to. So you can set all of that up right here. Now this is all great. You know, you give yourself 10 to 15 minutes just kind of messing around with the cloud portal, and of course anybody's going to be able to discover all this that I'm showing you on your own. So I'm not really going to get too much more into any of the details here, because I really want to show you, you know, what you can do with your data in the cloud. I'm going to start by talking about file and folder recovery. If you've got Cloud Plus, you can actually log into the StorageCraft cloud and you can restore a single file or a folder or a series of files and folders, whatever it is that you need. So to start with here, let's say that I need some data from my Windows, this is Windows 2016 server here. Let's say I needed to restore some data from this. I don't want to boot it as a virtual machine. I'm not going to request the entire set of backup data so that I can do a restore, but I need to grab a file. How would I do that? So first off, I'll click on the machine, and I'm going to come down here to recovery points. As you can see, I've got two different recovery points, one from yesterday, one from today. One from 2 days ago, one from yesterday. Another one from today will be added here shortly. What I'll do is I'll click on the plus sign. It'll show me which drivers are represented in that backup image set. Choose the drive that I'm interested in. I come over here and I'll mount. And what it'll do is it'll actually mount a version or an instance of what that machine looked like, and the ability to browse through and find the files that I need. Now my backup is currently password protected. So we'll go ahead and enter the password for that, hit mount, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's going to go ahead and start that mounting process. And when the mount has finally been complete, it is going to go ahead and give me the option to browse. It opens up a window and get a look at this. This is my entire file structure on that C drive of my Windows 2016 server. Now, if I need to find a file and download it, the process is actually very simple. I'll go to users. Let's say there's a file that I need to grab on my desktop. You know, I'll simply click on, there it is. There's my critical data folder right here. If I want to download that entire folder, I'll just click on create zip file. It creates the file for me, and I can just go right ahead and download it. Again, it's looking for me to just confirm that I've got the account password set up. I authorize the download. And there we go. It is now downloading that zip file. So I can grab it, open it up. There's the critical data. There's the text document. It's got everything that I need, right? So file and folder recovery, just as simple as that. It's a very, very simple process, all right? But it's doable, and it's a lifesaver in scenarios where you need critical data and for whatever reason you can't grab it locally anymore, right? Okay, but what about the big kahuna? What about this whole idea of being able to bring up a virtual machine literally in a matter of just a few minutes in a scenario where we've actually had a failure? Let's go ahead and talk about that. First off, you want to make sure that you have access to that machine when it finally boots up, right? So you got to come over here to the account level, and you're going to set up your networking ahead of time. Now let's talk about what options are available to you. First off, it's important for you to know that each account is going to have their own private network that their machines will boot up and automatically be able to attach to. Mine is 192.168.230.0, right? Now, if I don't like that subnet for some reason, I have the option to modify that. If I put a little check mark in here that says I can modify, I can go ahead and make that, you know, a Class C private network. I can make it Class B or even Class A, depending on what my need is. Now, in my case, I'm fine. I don't have that many users. We'll go ahead and leave it here at the 192.168.230. But just note, you may change that if you want to. We also have an area down here where, again, if you want to modify things, you can add your own list of DNS servers that those machines will automatically have access to. All right, so that's an option as well. It's important to note that each machine that boots up will have access to talk to each other on this private network right away once those machines boot up. Just double check that your network configurations are set to a password that's on this network and you're good. All right. In addition to that, you may notice that we have the ability to request public IP addresses. Now, this is primarily going to be used in scenarios where you know that you're going to be setting up a VPN and you will simply apply that public IP address to really, for lack of a better word, the gateway that will be connected to, so that you can go ahead and have outside access into that network. Also note, we have the ability to control whether or not you're going to have machines that are utilizing or requesting an IP address using DHCP, or if you want to have an IP address automatically reserved. You can actually assign IP addresses to those machines by way of a DHCP reservation if needed. And then to top it all off, like I said before, we do have the ability, and we do support port forwarding and port blocking. So if you do need to set up some network maps, let's say you've got a web server and you want to redirect port 80 to that machine, you can certainly do that. That's all good. If one of them is a FTP server and you want to redirect port 21, absolutely. You can do all that, okay? But now, how do we actually set up that outside access? Well, first, you are going to request that public IP address, which, as you can see, I've already done, and it has been automatically applied to my firewall. So this is actually the public IP address to the gateway that will give me access to all of my backup machines if I need to virtualize them, right? But also note that we have two different VPN options that we would need to configure. Your IPsec VPN is actually it's a router-to-router kind of a setup. You would actually set up a private key on the local router. You'd make sure that you share that key with the IPsec Open VPN, or the VPN option here within the cloud, and then you can actually facilitate access, route a number of different machines through your local router at home. And I say at home, but this could be it could be a library or something like that you had to set up because you've had a terrible disaster or whatever. But you know, multi-use, multi-machine access into the cloud by way of a router is essentially what we're talking about here. But then we've also got our Open VPN option. You know, your outside users may not be able to take advantage of that local router, so instead you might want to simply download Open VPN on those different clients and apply the appropriate configuration file that would be automatically set up, so that your outside users can simply launch an Open VPN client, which will give them access into the StorageCraft cloud as well. And that's actually the route that I am going to show, so that you can see how easy it is to actually connect to, and actually give you proof that we can actually connect from the outside into the StorageCraft cloud. All right. So I've already set up an Open VPN connection, right? And I've actually added a user. I'm calling him user number 1. Well, guess who user number 1 is? That's me. And I have a configuration file. Once I create that user, I've got a configuration file specific to OpenVPN that's automatically generated. It's essentially a user profile with all the authentication parameters that are needed to be able to connect to this OpenVPN session. So I've downloaded the data, or I've actually copied and pasted the data from this configuration file into a configuration file here on my local machine for user number 1 of my OpenVPN client. I have also already launched a virtual machine. Now, how did I do that? I've launched this file server here, and I did this mostly to save time. So we don't have to just kind of sit here and look giddily as we wait for a machine to boot up. But as you can see, my VM controller is actually found right here. If I have not yet booted my virtual machine, booting it up, a single instance like this is actually very simple. I just, instead of saying view, it'll say, I think it's just something like, you know,
create VM or launch VM.
Create or launch VM, I think is what it's going to say. So all I have to do is click on launch VM. It brings up a little window that says what recovery point you want it to look like and what's my password. I simply add that information and boom, it boots. And you just sit there and you watch it boot. You log in, you're going to have a remote access or a remote desktop window that you can log in with and do any kind of management and maintenance on that machine. Well, that's already been done. So I'm going to click on view, and it opens up a remote desktop window. Oh, look at that, it doesn't want to connect to the server. That's interesting. Let's see what we need to do here. Looks like we'll be booted up after all. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. And then let's go ahead and start it. It should come up here. There we go. Now I can click on view. There we are. All right, so it looks like we are going to have to wait while this machine boots up. But that's okay, because as it's booting up, I want to point out one other little feature here that's actually going to be kind of cool. So again, I'm going to come over here to my account level. I'm going to go back down here to networking, and I want to point out this little thing that I have not yet discussed, and this is your virtual machine policy. All right, I briefly covered this earlier, indicating that we have the ability to define what boots first, what boots second, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to do that here through the virtual machine policy. If you have a catastrophic disaster, your facility burns down, you've got 10 critical servers that are actually running your business, but guess what? They're no longer running. You can't even do anything with your remote users anymore. You're completely you're at a standstill, and quite honestly, this could be the kiss of death for most people. But if the ability of having some critical systems up and accessible and available, if that can keep your business going for a period of time, you probably want to take advantage of it. Well, to make that easier, and you've got 10 machines, and you don't have to actually have to, click on each one, hit start, and be on top of that because you've got other things you got to worry about. You can come over here and build you a virtual machine policy where all the different machines associated with your account will be listed over here on the side. You can see I've already moved mine over, but you can then drag them into this workspace, and you can draw lines from one to the other, and essentially define this machine needs to boot first, this one second, this one third. As you're doing that, you have the ability to say, okay, this machine's going to boot up. I want to wait 3 minutes and then boot my next one, et cetera, et cetera. And then once you've got that all set up, all you have to do is hit Launch VM Policy, and your machine is going to boot. Or not your machine, your entire environment will be booted automatically and launched in the StorageCraft cloud. All right. So now that I've kind of wasted a little bit of time, you can see we're just about booted up. This, by the way, is a Windows 2008 server. It does look a little bit old, I know, but it still works. Now, once this thing boots up, I'm going to log in. All right. And in the interest of time, I was thinking I'll share a file and all that kind of stuff. But I think in this case, it's adequate to show connectivity that we simply are able to ping. So I'm going to go ahead and get that set up right now. We'll log in. There we are. We're logged in. I should see my desktop here in just a second. All right, there we are. I'm up. Oh, it does have my critical data folder in here. Let's see if it's shared. Maybe I will show you some stuff here. Yeah, it is shared. Okay. Yeah, I think it is shared. All right, so maybe I will be able to show you a thing or two. So let's go ahead and click OK. First off, though, I want to make sure that I do have connectivity. So I'm going to ping just the same. As long as it responds to me. Oh, looks like my entire cloud has decided to kind of slow down on me. So you know what? In the interest of time, let me just, okay, all right, hold on just a second. Now it's finally, no, it's not. Okay, it is. There we go. Okay, all right. Now, let's go ahead and get my IP address. What is my current IP address? We're at 192.168.230.100. All right. Let's connect to my network. My OpenVPN client is accessed right here. Let's go ahead and collect using my user number 1. I hit connect. I've just launched my OpenVPN profile. And I'm now logged in. Look at that. So I'm currently connected to my 192.168.230 network by way of OpenVPN. Now let's see if a ping is going to work. All right. 192.168.230.100, right? There we go. I am connected. I can actually communicate with this machine, right? That means that I should be able to find that folder if I were to simply search for it. Let's go ahead and see if I can connect here. There it is. There's my users. The administrator. It's on my desktop. Look at that. Critical data. Where's that file? Critical data. Is this the same stuff? It should be. Again, I hate ransomware. Let's go ahead and do this just for fun. I do too. Go ahead and save it. Let's see, did we save that information? Sure enough, we got it. So hopefully that was enough to show you that I'm not just blowing smoke. You know, nobody wants a sales guy to get on the phone and just start blowing smoke to you and all that kind of stuff. So you can see the cloud services, it's the real deal, and it really does work. We've got the tools that you would need, which will allow you to be able to to have actual true business continuity. Again, let's consider that 5 nines. It's something that we absolutely can achieve. So I'm going to call that good. We want to make sure that we get to the other great stuff, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen real quick. Let me go ahead and bring up those slides for the remainder of the presentation today, and I'm going to pass the time back over to Mark and to Nephi. Let's go back. There we go. Let's talk about our new features and support with both Mark and Nephi, and let's give it to Mark first.
Okay, I'm Mark. I'm from support. We've been working really hard to make sure that we've got some really good training materials out there for you guys to learn how to use the software more effectively. So we've been having a real big push to just create tons and tons of training content. Now, this goes along well with our new support site, which you can find at support.storagecraft.com. Now, once you're there, you'll see in the menu bar along the top, there's actually a link for videos. If you click on that, then you will be taken to our video landing page. Wonderful thing about this is it's all bucketed by products. You can actually go in and say, I want to learn more about SPX. And there is a list of SPX specific videos. So I highly recommend that you or anyone who's going to be using the software, if you're onboarding any new technicians into your company who are going to be working with the StorageCraft products, send them over here if they don't have time to go through the academy. That's fine. I would strongly recommend anyone who wants to learn more about the StorageCraft product suite, and we're even starting to fill out the partner portal as well. So if you have a new technician coming on, you want them to generate some new MSP keys and deploy them out to a couple of systems that you're deploying to a new client site, and they're like, well, how do I do that? You can say, well, here, check out this link. Go to support.storagecraft.com, click on videos, and right there at the top, we have the partner portal section, which we have how to generate MSP product keys. So very quick and easy to get people ramped up. Also notice that most of these videos are very, very short. We don't want to take up your entire day if you just want to learn one single operation. Just bebop in, click on the video link, go through it. If you still have questions, issues, concerns, or if you run into error messages, that's when you go ahead and reach out to the support team. You can also do that on this page as well. You just scroll up a little bit, and there's a request help link in the top menu bar. That's how you file your support request. Now, we've done a lot of work with the support requests over the years, and I'd like to touch on just a couple of things real quick. One of those is the automatic online deactivations of perpetual product keys. That means you don't have to wait for us to deactivate a license. You can deactivate a license yourself right through this portal. So basically, when you're going through and you're filling out the product type, the first type, user type, go ahead and select what you are. You're probably a managed service provider at this point. We'll just go ahead and assume that. So you're an MSP. You've got a perpetual key that you need to redeploy. Your assistance type is going to be licensing assistance. Now, once we're there, the next thing we need to do is select the category. What are we doing? Well, hey, I'm requesting a license deactivation. That's going to be our first one at the list. Now, here's where the magic happens. You see this? We have, instead of waiting for a response, I want to immediately and manually deactivate my license. Check that box right below and then complete the support request. We still need it filled out. This does create a ticket for our ticketing system. In case there are any problems, we can go back, we can reference it. But then once you're done, you've provided your serial number. You'll actually receive a list of all of your current activations. Some of our perpetual keys have more than one activation available for them. Some have 10 or 12 or however many. But if you have all of those out there, you can see exactly which systems you have in place and just click the deactivate button. I'm not going to show you right here because I hadn't prepped for this particular section, but you will see it once you file the support request. Once you click the deactivate button, that license is available for you to redeploy. So use it in good health. This is a wonderful tool that reduces your turnaround to get those licensing requests. We were really trying to put as much automation as we can into it. Other than that, I think that pretty much covers what I have, the videos and the manual deactivations. Nephi, all right, let's take it over from here.
So back on that page, that's fine. We can go back to later. So hello everybody, my name is Nephi. I am the Community and Knowledge Manager. This site is kind of my brainchild with the help of the rest of the teams here. So the request help form is currently being worked on. Actually, we're working on some enhancements to that. They're not quite done yet, but you'll see some changes to this happening very soon to help streamline this process, especially if you're logged in. Because currently it still asks for your contact details if you're logged in, because we're still using the same core functionality that's been around for a minute here. But that will be pretty populated. That's also going to have some language enhancements as well to detect. Currently, you have to select your language when you go to the page, even if you already chose that you're viewing the site in a different language. So those enhancements are coming very soon. I've got them almost ready to go. Anyways, one of the new features that we've added, along with the videos that Mark talked about, is we have now integrated all of our user guide content into the community. There's actually more of this coming. There's more of this being added for some new products and some new offerings that we've brought on board. The last user guide, which isn't on this list yet, which is almost available, is the one box user guide. So one of the awesome features about this site is that you can start typing any kind of term that you're looking for, and just wait for a moment, and it's going to start giving you instant recommendations. So if you want to know, like, where's the one box user guide, you can just type in one box user guide, and you're going to get the link instantly without even completing the search process. And once you jump in there, you've got your table of contents on the top right side. There's a link here where you can view the entire guide as a PDF. This is actually changing a bit because we've run into some complications with the way that it renders. And so this is actually going to display the guide as HTML, and then you can print it or do whatever you'd like. You can save it. So that way you've got basically view all on one page of functionality. But in order for that to happen, it does require that you log in currently. So once you click that link, it takes you over to the login page. So just so you're aware, once this page loads, it's weird that it's not loading. Strange. Well, that's very strange. I'll have to look into why Edge is being strange, because I generally use Chrome. So let's jump over here to Chrome and take you to the same exact page, which is the login page for the community. Now this site is new, which means that if you registered with our old support site, the information unfortunately has not been transferred over. There was way too many user records in there and way too much spam records in there, so the old site got kind of abused in that fashion. So you'll need to sign up here if you haven't signed up already. So you can do that just by clicking not a member, and then it takes you to your standard registration form. Now, when you're signing up, it has to have a unique nickname and a unique and your personal email address. So I'm actually working on some enhancements to right now. It tells
Personal email address or domain email address?
Company email address.
Just wanted to be clear there, because sometimes that's screwy with the system. So don't put your Gmail account in there. Use your company domain account.
Use your company domain account, because that way we can match you up to your existing account and your existing information. If you put in gmail.com and you've never registered with Gmail before, then you may go to basically a holding account where we need to figure out where you actually need to go in the long run. So ultimately, put in your company email address, especially if you've logged cases with that before, and you'll be able to associate that with your history and look at your cases. So there are enhancements we're locking down for the case system. So those aren't quite available yet, but they will be available very soon. So let's see. Let's go back to the home page. Yeah, so some other features that we've got on the home page here is that everything is bucketed by product topic, which means that if you want to know more about cloud services, for example, click on cloud services. You can also find it in the topics menu here, go to cloud services. and that shows you the product details page and a link to the user guide right there. And then the latest content is displayed first as we go down the page. So you see the newest published, so they've been doing some revisions to the user guide recently, as you can see, that's been published as of the 3rd. And that means that something was changed and they republished and updated that content. You can see different troubleshooting articles that the team's posted. You can see how-to videos that we've done recently. There's some new BMR, RDP access, like Martin was talking about. Well, he was talking about VPN access, but this is RDP access too for the cloud. And then you've got videos as well, so you can see the type of article, how many times it's been viewed, right there. And then if you want to ask questions about it, you've got this discussions tab. And so the discussions here, first it shows you if there's unanswered questions across the entire community, that shows up in this top box first. So this is a question that's not answered everywhere. And then underneath that, you have individual questions that go into topics that are related to that category. So like, for example, this one's tagged as Image Manager, but if you look at the discussion, it's actually tagged as Image Manager and Cloud Services. So that means you could find it in either place. And you can actually jump over to that topic just by clicking on that link there. Now we jumped over to Image Manager. You can see there's different content that's broken into subtopics related to Image Manager. You can follow this if you want to get notifications about new things that are being posted here. Now, following is kind of a strange thing because it won't notify you of everything when you follow something, but what happens there is that once you log in, anything that you're following is going to show up in my feed. So you can't see it right here because I'm not logged in. But anyways, if you follow something, you go to my feed, you'll see all the updates for all the things that you're following. And that includes if you log into the community and you create a case and you go to my feed, you'll be able to see that case number right there and interact with that case. So that's all I have for now. Thanks, everyone.
Great, thank you, guys. Okay. So I just wanted to, this is Roy Applebaum again. I just wanted to remind you all that there is a recovery solution MSP bundle for you guys, which gives you great pricing on Shadow Protect and cloud services, both regular and premium, as well as Image Manager. So if you're not aware of that, we'll provide a link to you, and also you can talk to your StorageCraft sales rep, and we'd be happy to help you. We are on to the question and answer session. By the way, this session has been recorded, and we will be forwarding the link out to all of you guys at the end, so you can have that as well. I'm going to run through some of the questions that came in over the web, and if we don't get to all of them, we will get to you guys privately and make sure that you get the answers to your questions. So let's move forward from there. A question from John is, does a public IP address for Cloud Premium need to be requested well in advance, or can it be done at the time the recovery is initiated? Martin?
Actually, that's actually a really good question. So you can request it at the time that it's needed. The only thing that you need to understand about that is doing it that way, you may experience a little bit of a delay. You know, given the fact that it kind of has to go through the powers that be that actually allocate those IP addresses, there's not a guarantee that it'll be available immediately. You might be waiting hours, you might be waiting until the end of the day before it's finally ready. That's the worst case scenario. Ideally, I just want to say, let's go ahead and always have one available. That way it's great for testing purposes. It's going to be a little bit more of a monthly fee on a regular basis to keep it. But if I were to give you a suggestion, if you could swing, not even $10 a month to keep a public IP address reserved for you, I would go with it. But you can request it at the time of the disaster. Just know that there's no guarantee it's going to be immediately available. Most likely it will be. It's just there's no guarantee.
Thank you. Next question from David. Is the virtualized server in the cloud automatically changed to DHCP from static, or is that something that needs to be done manually during a recovery?
Yeah. So, you know what, that's a good question. I've never really actually addressed myself. My experience has always been it just automatically assumes the DHCP address.
I would assume since it's getting a different network adapter in the cloud, that
Right.
it has to be associated with the same network settings that you had on your physical adapter when you backed it up locally. So,
Right. That's my take on it as well. That's actually a really good question, and I probably should just know that flat out. But my experience has always been it just automatically assumes the DHCP IP address. So I have never seen it carry over the physical address.
Okay, thank you. From Adam, is there a Linux version of Image Manager?
No, there is not.
Okay. There was a question earlier about how can they get a demo account to show to their customers?
Are we referring? I'm assuming you mean a demo account in the cloud is probably what you're talking about. So we don't actually have demo accounts for the StorageCraft cloud to use. You either have a partner account, you can build an account that you want to mess around with as you need to, or if that's not something that you want to do, we have some trial accounts that can be used on a temporary basis, but you have to request that from your channel account manager, and we can probably give you a login to one of these trial accounts, and you'll have complete access. It'll be just like you're accessing the StorageCraft Partner Portal. You'll be able to create cloud accounts, you'll be able to replicate a machine, all that kind of stuff as needed. And typically these are allocated for a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks at a time. Will allow you to have access to them, but it's not like there's an actual demo account that is just automatically and readily assigned to you. You just got to put in a request for it.
Okay, thank you. Ken would like to be reminded how he can get logged into the StorageCraft Academy site.
So Ken, if you are an active partner and you have access to the partner portal, the ability to link directly to the Academy should be right there in the partner portal. It's going to be one of those left-hand options. Now, outside of that, I myself cannot remember the direct access to the Academy site.
Yep, academy.storagecraft.com. It is a different username than the partner portal. It is not linked at this time, so keep that in mind. If you have forgotten your password, there's of course the link right there, or if you've forgotten your excuse me, your username, you can also email academy@storagecraft.com and they can assist you.
Okay, great, thank you. Last question, pretty granular question actually. Can I restore an individual email from an Exchange 2016 server with GRE?
With GRE?
Wait, what version of Exchange again?
2016.
We are currently experiencing some issues with Exchange 2016 right now. It is not currently supported. So if it's any of the previous versions of Exchange, yes. But currently we are working on the Exchange 2016 problem, but I'm not quite sure where that we're landing on that just yet.
I know there's some investigation being done on that, so if you create cases, they're looking into logs and things related to the 2016. I know that there may be some issues with certain revisions of 2016, so it may not be everything, just like the Windows 10 issues that we're experiencing because we keep upgrading and changing major builds and changing features and security lockdowns. So it's really kind of a case-by-case thing, so I'd recommend contacting the support team for more follow-up on that.
Yes.
Great, thank you. And then finally, there's a question from Rusty that has come up a number of times, and it's basically about pooled storage. And at this point, or currently, we are not offering pooled storage in the cloud, but it is something that we are taking a look at, and it's clearly something that a lot of folks have asked us about. So we have our product teams kind of working on that as well. Anyway, we're just about at the top of the hour. If we didn't get to your questions, we will, and we'll reach out to you guys directly. We really appreciate your participation and your interest, and hopefully you found this a good use of your time for the hour, and we We really appreciate everything you guys do to help us sell our products and be successful, and nice to have you this year. So thank you very much.